Doctors of Reddit, what do we not know about the human body? I'm an anesthesiologist. We still don't really know why inhaled volatile anesthetics like sevoflurane, the principal anesthetic agent used to maintain general anesthesia, work. We kind of have an idea of maybe how it happens, but really we don't know. It's commonly said in my field that whoever figures this out will win the next Nobel Prize in Medicine. Edit. I'm happy to answer questions about anesthesia in the comments. I'm a sleep specialist. While we do have some good theories about some of the functions of REM as far as how it affects the brain and health, we still don't fully understand the purpose of dreaming. Like, why do we dream at all, and why do dreams have a narrative instead of random incomprehensible imagery? Unfortunately, this is unlikely to even be solved. Idiopathic pulmonary fibrosis. A disease that causes diffuse scarring fibrosis of the lung. Anytime you hear idiopathic in medicine, it essentially means we don't know what causes it. There are multiple fibrotic lung diseases that they have identified the causes of over the years. In general, any idiopathic illness is likely something we will know much more about one day. This just comes first to mind. One I didn't see mentioned: we apparently don't know precisely how our bodies can distinguish gas from. We have some ideas. We know there are a ton of nerve endings in the area, but the precise mechanism of our bodies telling our brains this is let loose isn't really understood. What blows my mind is, it's distinct enough that we even pass gas while asleep. That difference must be wired deep. There's still a lot about the immune system that's undiscovered. There are organelles called vaults in human cells and in most other eukaryotic species. They are made of 78 copies of a protein called the major vault protein, totaling about 3 times the size of a ribosome, and larger than most viruses. Their function is not totally understood, but it's probably something to do with the nucleus, though analogues of the genes for vaults even appear in bacteria. As they are found in such a wide variety of species, life on Earth must have started making vaults early in its history. The similarity of the genes encoding vault proteins across diverse species would presumably indicate the importance of vaults for viable life, but experiments haven't shown a great deal of harm done to lab animals that had their vault genes knocked out. Even stranger, several of the species used in laboratories as model organisms naturally lack vaults. The use of these organisms long predates the discovery of vaults in 1986, with some going back over a century. Doctor here. Off the top of my head, here's a few deceptively big ones. 1. We still aren't exactly sure how anesthesia works. We just know it causes certain effects, and they are useful, so we use it. 2. Psychiatry is still shockingly infantile in our understanding of human disorders. It's constantly in a state of flux. We don't understand a lot about the meds we currently use, and the diagnostic criteria for disorders still changes as we realize, hey, maybe all these behaviors aren't the same source disorder. It's incredibly hard to diagnose when the criteria is largely based on self-report and subjective observations. 3. To a lesser degree than number 2, neurology is still learning a lot. It's further because you can observe more objective findings in neuro than psych, but we still struggle a lot with how brains function. 4. Immunology. Don't even ask me, because no one knows really. 5. Yawns. Still guessing on why that happens too. There's some theories, but that's the best we got. Ask any medical professional about immunology, so little known, so complex. Apparently we know next to nothing about fibroids, which like 75% of women have at some point in their lives. That's great, considering that the largest one removed was 100 lbs, so not exactly a minor issue. There are theories about different hormones and what things put you at higher risk, but aside from having surgery to have your existing ones removed, there is basically no information on what you can do to prevent them from coming back. The role of our DNA: we've sequenced the human genome, but a large part of it remains unexplained. Rabies pathology, Alzheimer's etiology, encephalitis lethargica / chronic fatigue syndrome. For many medicines, it's not clear how they work, or even if they work. For example, look at the actual efficacy trials of name-brand antidepressants. When you look at them in aggregate, they look like they barely work. Yet, basically everybody knows somebody whose life was saved by a specific antidepressant. OBGYN here: we still don't know exactly what makes labor start. We know all about the mechanics and physiology, but we don't know what makes the average say it's go time. According to my doctor. What causes IBSO? Also, what exactly causes sexually induced sneezing? Why our brain doesn't use its stem cells it has to heal itself? Had a pathologist tell me that the interesting part of his job wasn't finding out how someone died, it was seeing everything that can be wrong with someone, so many life-threatening or life-altering, horrible things that a person can have going on and still be alive. Good friend died of pneumonia. He was too busy at work, couldn't afford to take time off, he kept using OTC meds for the symptoms. He died unattended, so the coroner had to get involved. They did an autopsy. His body had cancer in 3 different places, he never stopped. Dude was old-time tough. I'm a nurse, not a doctor, but in school I learned that when in vitro fertilization was being pioneered, scientists were unable to create an embryo from the combination of an egg. It wasn't until they added female secretions in that they were able to produce viable embryos, and they don't know what role those secretions play in the process. This was about 15 years ago, so if anyone has new information on the topic, I'd love to hear it. Not a doctor, but I study cell and molecular biology. The immune system is wildly complex and right now feels as though we're staring down into Mariana's Trench. I'm a derm. We don't know what exactly causes itching, like the molecular pathways for it. That's why it can be so hard to find a good treatment when a patient comes in for itchy skin. Not a doctor, but this was posted a few years ago when the same question was asked. We still aren't sure what causes precordial catch syndrome. Reddit is where I finally put a name to the sporadic chest pain I had in my teens/20s that goes away when you take a deep breath. Have you ever had a muscle knot? Well, apparently they're undetectable by any test or machine, and medicine hasn't yet figured out what's going on in our bodies when we experience them. We don't know the precise mechanism by which B12 deficiency causes nerve damage. We know that it happens, but not why. Many medical things are like that, easily observed and proven cause and effect, but complex and unclear mechanisms. Much of biology is still a black box to us. Neurological stuff in particular is full of this. Lots of we definitely know damage here causes effect XYZ, but not why. I had a lecturer at medical school say half of medicine is made up, we just don't know which half. Not MD but PhD. Right now we are working on the connection between our intestinal microbiome and neuropsychiatric disease and brain aging. For instance, people with inflammatory bowel disease are more likely to develop dementia and experience comorbid anxiety and depression, but we don't know why. The gut microbiome. While it's well known that the gut plays a huge role in digestion, researchers are discovering just how much our gut bacteria affect other parts of our health, like mood, immunity, and even brain function. I have a very niche answer. We don't know what is supposed to naturally bind to the area that benzodiazepines work at. Benzodiazepines, BZD, are medications like Xanax and they produce anti-anxiety effects. And they have a very distinct chemical shape to fit into the BZD site in a group of 5 proteins. But we don't know what is supposed to go there. Many medications are analogs of naturally binding molecules that we copy and then use to create an effect. The BZD site is for something, we just don't know what. Edit, all you wonderful people. I am headed to bed. I will answer anything else in the morning. And feel free to reach out if you ever have a question. Witnessing so many genuinely inquisitive and intelligent people has made my day. Please never stop learning. Thank you all. One of the few absolutes in medical science is that nobody born blind has ever developed schizophrenia. This is one of the best AskReddit threads I've ever seen. Thank you all for this.